Do you know why Obama is pushing for, by fiat, an increase in the minimum wage for federal contract workers? Do you think he cares about federal contractors? No, because many union contracts are then triggered, and the pay scale increases because they are tied to this wage rate. Yes, that's right. And I want you to keep something else in mind. This is the same president who signed a budget bill, thanks to Boehner and Ryan, that cut the pensions of our military personnel, but who signs an executive order unconstitutionally to raise the minimum wage for federal contract workers. This is the kind of sickness that pervades the Beltway and this White House. And by sickness in Obama's case, and I'm serious about this, I will assert here that he's a megalomaniac. And here are some of the symptoms. Megalomania is a psychopathological disorder wherein the person experiences delusional fantasies of greatness, wealth, grandeur, omnipotence, and superiority. The person with this type of mental condition will be obsessed with doing extravagant things, will think only about themselves, will not have any concern for others, and will have lust for power and money. A megalomaniac person will also exaggerate his or her talent in an unrealistic, egoistic way, consider them as unique, and will be self-centered. And this disorder is related to narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, which means self-love. How and why this type of illness develops may be because of different behavioral characteristics, childhood and nature of parenting during childhood days, and so forth. This is what we have here. But this is the bleak side. Now I want you to listen to the bright side, the liberty side, the constitutional side. And unfortunately, I have to reach back to do this. But reaching back to do this on the so-called State of the Union night, or as I call it, the state of confusion, as the president explains further his seizing of power and the coup that's taking place in front of our eyes. There are many people who are listening to me right now, many of you who are too young to remember Ronald Reagan's State of the Union speeches, and some of us are old enough they're a distant memory. But it is worth listening to just a few clips so we have a context for what's going to go on tonight. Good versus evil. This is the good. Reagan, his fifth State of the Union speech, February 4, 1986, cut one, go.
I am pleased to report the state of our union is stronger than a year ago and growing stronger each day. Tonight we look out on a rising America, firm of heart, united in spirit, powerful in pride and patriotism. America is on the move. But it wasn't long ago that we looked out on a different land. Locked factory gates, long gasoline lines, intolerable prices, and interest rates turning the greatest country on earth into a land of broken dreams. Government growing beyond our consent had become a lumbering giant, slamming shut the gates of opportunity, threatening to crush the very roots of our freedom. What brought America back? The American people brought us back with quiet courage and common sense, with undying faith that in this nation under God, the future will be ours, for the future belongs to the free.
You won't hear anything like that tonight. Those of you who insist on suffering through the imperial president's speech. More, cut two, go.
What is true for families in America is true for America in the family of free nations. History is no captive of some inevitable force. History is made by men and women of vision and courage. Tonight, freedom is on the march. The United States is the economic miracle, the model to which the world once again turns. We stand for an idea whose time is now. Only by lifting the weights from the shoulders of all can people truly prosper, and can peace among all nations be secured. Teddy Roosevelt said that a nation that does great work lives forever. We have done well, but we cannot stop at the foothills when Everest beckons. It's time for America to be all that we can be. We speak tonight of an agenda for the future, an agenda for a safer, more secure world. And we speak about the necessity for actions to steel us, for the challenges of growth, trade, and security in the next decade and the year 2000. And we will do it not by breaking faith with bedrock principles, but by breaking free from failed policies.
Yep. Yes, Reagan. Moderate French Republicans tell us today to turn our back on Reagan. They learn nothing while they embrace the New Deal and FDR, while they attack conservatives and the conservative movement and the Tea Party. More Reagan. Cut 3. Go.
Keeping America strong is as vital to the national security as controlling federal spending is to our economic security. But as I've said before, the most powerful force we can enlist against the federal deficit is an ever-expanding American economy, unfettered and free. The magic of opportunity, unreserved, unfailing, unrestrained. Isn't this the calling that unites us? I believe our tax rate cuts for the people have done more to spur a spirit of risk-taking and help America's economy break free than any program since John Kennedy's tax cut almost a quarter century ago. What we accomplish this year in each challenge we face will set our course for the balance of the decade, indeed for the remainder of the century. After all we've done so far, let no one say that this nation cannot reach the destiny of our dreams. America believes America is ready. America can win the race to the future, and we shall. The American dream is a song of hope that rings through night winter air, vivid, tender music that warms our hearts when the least among us aspire to the greatest things, to venture a daring enterprise, to unearth new beauty in music, literature, and art, to discover a new universe inside a tiny silicon chip or a single human cell.
No talk about redistributing wealth. No talk about attacking this American or this industry or that industry. No talk about victimization. Not the low, sewer-level, depressing rhetoric and propaganda of the left. Last clip, 1986, February 4, Ronald Reagan at his State of the Union speech. Cut 5, go.
In this land of dreams fulfilled, where greater dreams may be imagined, nothing is impossible. No victory is beyond our reach. No glory will ever be too great. So now it's up to us, all of us, to prepare America for that day when our work will pale before the greatness of America's champions in the 21st century. The world's hopes rest with America's future. America's hopes rest with us. So let us go forward to create our world of tomorrow in faith, in unity, and in love.
Amazing. It's amazing, contrasting the substance and the styles, is it not? Obama yelling at the top of his lungs, like a rabble-rousing community organizer, like the megalomaniac that I say he is. And there's Reagan, steady, using his speaking voice, talking about the greatness of America, the magnificent success that he helped bring to the country after the disaster that Jimmy Carter was. He had success to talk about. Obama has none. I mean, none truthfully, but he'll lie. You never heard Reagan said, if Congress doesn't act, I will. He went over the head of Congress many times to speak to the American people, to urge the American people to pressure Congress. But he didn't bypass Congress, not for the purpose of fundamentally transforming America. Reagan played by the rules, the constitutional rules. Obama will not. And tonight, because he can't get all he wants as fast as he wants, because he's a man in a hurry to drag this nation in directions this nation resists, he thinks that by winning an election, he can now use the Constitution to destroy the Constitution. Reagan dealt with Barack Obamas, all kinds of them in Hollywood, the communist left in Hollywood, when he was head of the Screen Actors Guild. He knew how to deal with the Obamas of the world, and he dealt with them. Unfortunately, the Republican leadership today does not. And it becomes frustrated, and it turns on us. And they're also trying to hold on to their power. Their staffs are trying to hold on to their power and to feather their nests when they decide to leave. So effectively, we don't have any institution really representing we the people, which is why we speak out and rally and fight. Meanwhile, Obama. There's really no other way to do this than to play some of this. Here he is, 2010, his State of the Union speech, cut 6, go.
Our approach would preserve the right of Americans who have insurance to keep their doctor in their plan. It would reduce costs and premiums for millions of families and businesses. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, the independent organization that both parties have cited as the official scorekeeper for Congress, our approach would bring down the deficit by as much as $1 trillion over the next 2 decades.
All right, stop. So there you have at least 4 flat-out lies. And the thing about the Congressional Budget Office is they're not allowed to make independent judgments outside of the criteria set by those requesting the information. So in many cases, it's a ruse. But you'd be able to keep your insurance, keep your doctor, keep your plan, reduce costs of premiums for millions of families and businesses. That's 2 sentences in 2010. A liar, megalomaniac. Cut 7, go.
So, as temperatures cool, I want everyone to take another look at the plan we've proposed. There's a reason why many doctors, nurses, and healthcare experts who know our system best consider this approach a vast improvement over the status quo. But if anyone from either party has a better approach that will bring down premiums, bring down the deficit, cover the uninsured, strengthen Medicare for seniors, and stop insurance company abuses, let me know.
Yeah, right. Well, people have had proposals, but he doesn't care, folks. He doesn't care. He's not going to be questioned. He's very thin-skinned. Very thin-skinned. Here he is at his State of the Union in 2011. Cut 8, go.
This means further reducing health care costs, including programs like Medicare and Medicaid, which are the single biggest contributor to our long-term deficit. The health insurance law we passed last year will slow these rising costs, which is part of the reason that nonpartisan economists have said that repealing the health care law...
All right, just utter blather, utter idiocy. Just rambling on and on and on. And finally, his State of the Union last year. Cut 9, go.
Already, the Affordable Care Act is helping to slow the growth of health care costs. And the reforms I'm proposing go even further. We'll reduce taxpayer subsidies to prescription drug companies and ask more from the wealthiest seniors. We'll bring down costs by changing the way our government pays for Medicare, because our medical bills shouldn't be based on the number of tests ordered or days
All right,
spent.
that's enough. That's enough. You know the disaster that Obamacare is, and the serial lying, and his refusal to do anything effective about it. That is, to propose to Congress some changes in the law. He won't do it. He moves deadlines to get them past the next election cycle. But the fact that millions and millions of people are losing their health care, far beyond those who are getting new health care, seems to be of no consequence to this man. That's the misery that has to exist in order to get to the promised land, ladies and gentlemen. Paradise is right over the rainbow, and you all stand in the way.